Today I want to talk about academic journals. So I have been keeping an academic journal for many years. In fact, the one I'm just holding right now goes back to about 2010 or even a little bit earlier. I started this particular journal when I started my position at the University of Southampton. I do believe that academic journals are of use. In my case, I focus mostly, of course, on things that matter in my life, or put differently, well, academic concerns. So I talk about some theory development, some empirical results I find puzzling. There's always a tiny bit of mathematics popping up for various problems. Of course, most of these things don't lead anywhere, because that's anyway the fate of academic research, that the vast majority of the time spent is a little bit wasted, because very frequently you discover that there is no good solution, or you notice that someone else already found it years ago. And even if you have a good solution, it doesn't really mean you can publish. I think there's a lot to discuss about publications and publication strategy as well. So I use this journal just to reflect on problems. And whenever I have an interesting thought, which doesn't really happen that frequently, I try to make a few notes. And there are some fun parts to discover. So also I reflect on my life, which is usually rather painful, which I think is an interesting way to cope with certain events, and I think that's quite useful. Of course, most of it is rather embarrassing and silly looking back. But there is an interesting one. I just noticed that I think I wrote this on the 25th of December 2010. So that's of course Christmas time. So that's a funny point in time. So yeah, so there is a lot about some illness I had, which is kind of really, that's amusing, isn't it? So that's kind of interesting. So of course, I always get a little bit, messed up around this period. So I try to focus here a little bit. I got a book on Zen Buddhism, which I thought was helpful. In the end, I don't think it actually was. But it just goes on. It's more, I would say, embarrassing. But there are some interesting observations, which even after 13 years are actually quite thought-provoking. So there's here a little discussion around time thieves. And I think this is an interesting thought if you think about this. It's not very well written. Most likely you can't actually read the handwriting, because end of the day my handwriting is absolutely terrible. So even if I focus the camera in a better way, that wouldn't really fix it. But basically it goes on to discuss that technology on the one hand gives us more time, because life expectancy goes up, so you have better medical treatment, you have better nutrition, better public health care, and so on. However, at the same time, technology also takes away time in the form of entertainment. So you have television, you have, of course, now of Netflix, streaming services, computer games, and so on. So in the end, of course, the key question is, do you actually gain anything? Because if you spend 2-3 hours a day playing computer games, end of the day you just wonder, do you have a net benefit of an enhanced life expectancy? So that's an interesting observation, because in fact you could spend most of your time nowadays just watching YouTube videos. Here you are, yeah, but please finish that one and give it a like, and also leave your comments here. So yes, so you can spend your life doing things that actually pretty much waste your time. So that's an interesting observation. I found this quite amusing. So summing up, I think having an academic journal is quite a bit of fun to do. It can be useful also for your work, because you can capture some thoughts. And it's quite nice to look back, even after 10 years, 15 years, and you see actually the struggle you're going through, and you notice actually how silly you were and how silly you still are after so many years. So I hope this adds a little bit of amusement to your day. I see you in the next one.